This is a clip from one of our recent live streams. We stream live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. As a reminder, this is our second channel, Fish the Moment Live. Our main channel, Fish the Moment, is where we have all of our highly edited YouTube content. We spend 30 to 40 hours a week producing one YouTube video that's posted on the Fish the Moment channel every Friday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. These videos include on-the-water footage of us actually fishing, as well as detailed instruction on how to use electronics, fish offshore, and a lot of other great information. Make sure to check out the Fish the Moment channel if you enjoy the content on this channel. To our last topic here. So the last topic, or the last secret we want to talk about, is the fact that brush piles are not an area where you just want to pull up and fish them one time a day. You want to refish your brush piles multiple times a day, because a lot of times bass will move in and out of that brush depending on weather changes, time of day, different things like that. To give you guys a couple examples that have been kind of interesting over the years, I'm just going to pull up Lake Dardanelle because that's where I did a lot of my brush pile fishing growing up. There are times when I would go to Lake Dardanelle and I would fish the exact same brush piles like 5 or 6 times throughout the day and not get bit on them. Most of the times I would pull up on them, then one time, for whatever reason, I just pull up there and just hammer them. One of the most popular brush piles, one of the biggest community holes here ever, is right around here on Lake Dardanelle, and there's brush piles that get planted here on this drop-off, and it was to the point where basically every single tournament for like a whole year almost, or the whole summer seemed like I got one off the brush pile that was sitting here. And what happened is that you would pull up, and if you fished it in the morning or midday, you might get one bite out of it. You might catch one 4-pounder if you sat there for like 2 hours with a big worm, but nothing really that great. And then if you came back, let's say at 2 o'clock, an hour before weigh-in, even if there was like bright bluebird skies, no current, whatever, for some reason those fish would pull up out of the deeper water, pull up into that brush pile, and go crazy. And the first person who could get there around 2 o'clock, it felt like, at the right time, and go throw a crankbait through it or a worm through that brush pile, they're going to catch 18 to 20 pounds. Another example is a brush pile just right over here that I did really well in few summers, or a long time ago, like 6-7 years ago now, people know about, is if you come here to this brush pile, you could fish this brush pile throughout the day when it was bright, sunny skies, no wind, catch a fish here, a fish there, maybe 1 2.5 pounder or whatever. But if you came back when the wind started blowing and you had a strong wind with some cloud cover that blew across this brush pile, across this drop, you could pull a crankbait out and you could catch 15 to 18 pounds of fish off this brush pile, boom, boom, boom. And that wind and the current got those fish aggressive on it. And I feel like people don't really think about that when they think brush pile fishing. They think bright bluebird skies are the best for brush pile fishing, which is not the case at all. A lot of times what you'll find is that you can catch them first hour of the morning or when it's windy or cloudy. And what you'll find is that a lot of these areas, you'll have 7 to 10 boats fishing the same brush pile throughout the day. You might, like, I had times where I counted on this brush pile, because I was fishing just this area, I counted 14 different boats fish this brush pile in one day. I was out there for like 10 hours graphing around practicing. Randy, 14 boats fished the exact same brush pile. And then I pulled in after all of them at the end of the day when it started getting like right with the time of day and all this stuff. Roll in, and I still caught like 15 pounds off this brush pile because I came at the right time of day. And I don't know if anyone else caught them there, but like, so there was basically 15 boats that fished that brush pile. It was like every 20 minutes a new boat would pull up there, and it was always just different people. So the timing is really key on brush piles. You don't have to be there at the exact. You don't have to be there, or you don't have to just fish this one time. Like, you can fish the same brush pile 3, 4, 5 times in a day and get those fish to bite 1 out of 5 times you fish it. So that's a secret to definitely keep in mind, because I don't think people think about timing with brush piles, think about with ledge fishing or other stuff, but it is definitely a big deal. If you enjoy our videos and want more in-depth instruction about bass fishing, check out our virtual seminars on fishthemoment.com. On our virtual seminars page, you'll see all of our upcoming live seminars, including our advanced summer jig fishing seminar focused on both offshore and shallow jig fishing. Randy and I will give you our best secrets in terms of bait modifications, areas, retrieves, and a lot of other great information. You can also find recordings of our past seminars. We'll be updating our library every single week with past seminars that will help you become a better bass fisherman. Check them out on fishthemoment.com.
Yeah, the thing about the timing part on brush piles, you can relate it to the shallow brush and the deep brush also. So there's two different elements you have to consider. Number one, when you're talking about timing, you have to ask yourself, are those bass moving in and out of this brush pile based upon times of the day? Are they using them like highways? Or are they relating to them at certain times of the day, then moving off them? Or are those bass there all the time? And there's bite windows that you have to capitalize on. So I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, depending upon how the brush is positioned, the depth of it, the complexity of the pile, you don't really know. I mean, you can't really tell on that. So the best time to do it, just like Johnny said, is you have to get a milk run going. If you're in an area and you've committed to running brush piles, you just have to keep cycling through them. And really, once you dial in and you find out, when those fish are most active with that, that's when you can really, refine that pattern a lot. And I know as far as in my situation, when I fish shallow brush, specifically the brush piles that show up just as dark spots, there may be a limb out of the water here or there, the time of day is critical because of the shade angle it throws on the brush. Because depending upon how the brush is positioned, there's going to be a shady part of it, a sunny part of it. Sometimes the fish get more active when there's the sun is right over the top of it, and that's the thing that I found out in the summertime a lot. When you're fishing brush in off-color conditions, the best bite is often between 10 and 2 during the hottest part of the day, the time you wouldn't think they'd be biting. That's just when they're a lot more active, and it's just has to do with the way they're positioned in there. So those are the two elements of are they moving through there, or are they there and just not biting when you're there? So that's just sort of something everybody has to figure out on their own.
For sure, and there's never a science to it. Unfortunately, you just kind of have to experiment, and that's sometimes the difference between winning and losing a fishing tournament, which is frustrating to me at times. That's why I don't like fishing tournaments anymore. Is a lot of times it's like you have the winning spot, and it's literally a crapshoot. You pull
Yeah.
a lottery ticket, and there's a chance you get there when the timing's right, and you can try to predict it and guess it, but it's going to be different every single day. 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, and you can get on the wrong rotation, the wrong motion, and all of a sudden you're not doing well in the tournament. And it's hard with fishing tournaments to get consistent like that. There is a lot of element of luck that goes into it. I know a lot of guys don't. They try to say that fishing isn't luck because there's a lot of science to it, and that's true. There is science to catching fish consistently, but to winning tournaments, I feel like there's a lot of luck involved a lot of times. Just boat draw, time that you pull in there, all this different stuff. I feel like there's more luck in tournament fishing, honestly, than actual fishing itself. Because if you were just out there in the middle of the day without anyone else out there, no other competitors, anything like that, then you can take a lot of the luck out of fishing, but not so much when there's other people involved. Would you agree with that, Randy?
Man, I can tell you so many stories about that as far as luck and timing goes. It's just, and then that gets into the whole conversation about what is luck. I'll tell you guys a quick story here. What Johnny was talking about is pertinent to shallow brush. Is I was fishing the Bass Megabucks tournament at Lake Murray back in the mid 1990s, and in the finals of the Megabucks tournament, you had a 10-hole course, and everybody rotated this 10-hole course for 45 minutes. And I was leading the tournament after the first 3 days, and I was leading the tournament the last day of the tournament up until the last 10 minutes of the day. And the camera boat driver came over to me and said, "Congratulations, Randy. It looks like you're going to win this Megabucks tournament. We got 10 minutes left." So I'm all pumped up, and we had 10 minutes left to fish. And Tommy Biffle was on hole number 10, and there was this one brush pile on the end of a dock that was like a giant brush pile sticking out of the water. Beautiful brush pile, most obvious pile on there. Everybody had pounded it all day long. It was at the end of the day. Tommy pulls up there the last 5 minutes of the tournament, pitches a jig in there, catches a 4 pounder, and wins the tournament. After all these guys have hammered this brush pile all day long. So is that timing? Is that luck? What is, you guys tell me on that?
I feel like personally that was a little bit lucky. Just because also, I mean, obviously you have to put yourself in a position to get lucky, and that's something there too. But there's a whole other discussion. That's a whole other live stream to talk about that. But good deal there, and Kyle wants me to start calling tournaments derbies for you, Randy, so I
No,
can start
no.
calling them derbies.
That this is not 1965 at the department store sporting goods department. That's what a derby is.
We got to hit the derby, you know. No, I'm not about the derby life. I just like the YouTube videos. That's hard enough as it is. There's actually a funny post, or not funny, but a good post from Strike King that they do a series on Mark Zona and how he has to film a TV show, and they're like, there's probably more pressure on Mark Zona at times to film TV shows that have to go live, because if he doesn't go catch any fish, they don't get a good TV show, and they have millions of dollars invested in ads, or however much dollars invested in the TV slots and all that stuff. So that's how I feel with my YouTube videos. If I go out and I don't catch them, it's just as stressful as fishing a tournament, and I still have to deal with a bunch of people running all over my spots and all kinds of craziness. So it's just as much of a deal there too.
Man, for me, like I said, I'm just relating to you guys shallow water, brush fishing tips and that type of stuff. One other piece of advice I'll give you guys, as far as when you're fishing a slow bait on brush, is if you're fishing a worm, I like a lighter sinker, like a 3/16 or an 1/8 ounce. For whatever reason, they bite that worm slower crawling through the limbs. But if you're pitching a jig in some dirtier brush piles, that type of stuff, they like a really heavy jig, like a 1/2 ounce, 3/4, sometimes an ounce jig. And I can't really explain why that is, but I know I can tell you for one thing: when you're fishing shallow brush and you're fishing some type of a bottom bouncing lure, the speedy retrieve is really critical. And a lot of that may have to do with the depth of the brush and the water clarity.
Really good little nugget there at the end. So just keep that in mind, guys, and everything else we talked about. One thing, got a comment here from PK I was trying to type here, is he was wondering about when we got the bigger size of the VersaCraw. I talked about the jewel bait VersaCraw that I designed, and we have the smaller size, the junior size here, guys, that I've been using a ton this summer. But we also have the senior size that we were wanting to put out that's a lot bigger, and it's going to be great in the back of a bigger flipping jig, stuff like that. We had actually have to delay the senior size of the VersaCraw till next year because of packaging issues and plastisol issues, stuff like that with supply chain stuff. So we're not going to be able to, unfortunately, put that out this year. So we're going to delay that till next year. So apologies on that. We were going to try to get that out for next year, but for now, you'll just have to make do with the VersaCraw Junior and the Pee-wee size. Better news, though, I did use a little Pee-wee size VersaCraw today, Randy, on the little river that I went to, and I just waded the stream, waded the creek, caught some little creek smallmouth on it, so that was pretty fun today.
Yeah, that's a good looking nugget on a finesse jig for sure.
Oh, yeah. Good deal. Well, guys, I really appreciate it. Again, Brian Postma, send me a email at info@fishmoment.com. You won the Bridgeford package last week, so just send me an email there, info@fishmoment.com, with your mailing address, and we'll get that shipped over to you. And then leave that comment with your favorite bait, color, brand in the comments if you want to get put into that drawing. And other than that, guys, hopefully you are enjoying the live streams. Hopefully you find it helpful. And we're going to see you guys next week, next Tuesday, for another live stream. Same place, same time. Randy, thanks for joining me, and everyone have a great night. Thanks for checking out the video. If you made it this far, we'd really appreciate if you left a like on the video. It helps us out with the YouTube algorithm and gets these videos out to more people. Also consider subscribing. It's free and it lets you get notifications of every single one of our videos that we upload daily. Finally, remember to check out the main Fish the Moment channel, where we actually have on-the-water fishing footage as well as detailed graphics on electronics, offshore fishing, bass behavior, and a lot of other great information. Thanks for checking out the video, and we'll see you all in the next one.